afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. I have a little bit of a conundrum, I guess, a decision to make when it comes to my truck and this recall that's going on. If you're not familiar, there is a real bona fide recall. There's only one on the new Tacoma, the 4th gen, and it's come in the 2025 model year season, but it also affects the 24s, I guess. What it is, of course, briefly, is that there's a brake line intrusion issue on the TRD Sport, or TRD off-roads rather, or the trucks with the 17-inch wheels. The brake lines go too far into the wheel area, and if anything ever gets clogged or stuck up in that wheel area, it could damage the brake lines. It could even break the brake lines, like mud, ice, snow, whatever. So there's a recall. Now, I am making an assumption. I'm making a couple of assumptions. One is that they're going to reroute the brake line. They're going to somehow pull them back in so that they're not sticking into that wheel well. Makes sense to me. I did a video, I'll try to link it down below, where I crawled underneath the truck, looked around to see exactly what was going on, and that would be a fix. I think it would take a new bracket and possibly a new brake line or part of a new brake line or something where they would pull them inside. My second assumption is that the brake lines on any of the models are the same. In other words, on the 17-inch or 18-inch wheel setups, that it's not really the brake line that's changed, if you will. It's just the wheels, the tire and wheel setup, the wheel setup. So here's where the problem lies for me, and maybe for some of you folks as well. When I bought this truck, I had them swap the wheels and tires from the Sport that I had. And the Sport that I had 18-inch wheels on it. So in essence now, on this truck, which is a 2025 TRD off-road, it came with 17-inch wheels. But I'm running 18-inch wheels. So if the recall only affects models that have 17-inch wheels, again, assuming that the brake lines are the same setup between the 17 and 18-inch wheels, do I really need to do anything? Is there really any issue for me now that I have bigger diameter wheels on the truck? I assume that Toyota, again, is going to be doing something to move the brake lines further in. So there would be a benefit to me, because when I was crawling under this truck, looking at where the brake lines were, they still protrude into the wheel area, if you will, the open area on the back side of the wheels. So I would get the benefit of having new lines. Should I ever want to go back to 17s for some reason, who knows? Or maybe the next buyer, decides they don't like 18-inch wheels on this truck and they put 17s on. I would get it done for free. So I'm trying to decide whether, once we get the notice, I should do anything about it or not, or just leave it the way that it is. I suppose I'd need to talk to the service department at Toyota to make that call, because I know that once Toyota issues the formal recall, and by formal I mean I get something in the mail that says my truck is being recalled for this problem, that they're not going to be very specific as to what the fix is. In other words, you're going to just get a recall notice discussing what the problem is. You'll get a brief summary of what it is they're going to do, and that might be enough. And I'm guessing it's going to be a new bracket and move the brake lines, something like that. But they're not going to address whether or not it's a problem if you put aftermarket wheels on the truck. Obviously, they're not going to touch on that. So my conversation, I guess, should be with the service department. Hey, since I have 18-inch wheels on this truck, is there any concern at all for me? Now, one other thing that's crossed my mind with this is, I take the truck in, and let's assume, here's a third assumption, I guess, that the service department is with it enough to realize that I've got 18-inch wheels on this truck. Are they going to give me a problem with doing the recall? In other words, are they going to say, hey, you've got 18-inch wheels on this truck. This recall does not apply to you, even though when the truck was originally purchased, it was purchased with 17-inch wheels, and that is the OEM or proper setup for this truck. I don't think there would be a problem with that, and I certainly would argue it, that hey, you know, the truck comes with 17-inch wheels, there's a problem, and if I ever determine or decide rather to put 17s back on this truck, which I'm not going to, let's be honest, but for the sake of argument, to prove my point, do I then bring it back into you and say, hey, the truck's got 17-inch wheels on it, I need you to replace or change or whatever you're going to do the brake lines? So I don't know if that would be a fight or a battle or not. Now, the other thing for me, even if I still had 17-inch wheels on this truck, I'm in deep South Texas. I mean, we don't get snow. If we do, it lasts about 10 minutes and then it's gone. We certainly don't get much ice buildup or any of that kind of stuff. So I really don't run the risk of having any kind of a problem with things being inside the wheels that are going to damage that brake line. That being said, the other, or where there is an issue, I guess, is if I was to take the truck off-road and get a bunch of mud and stuff in there from fields or whatever, then I would have the issue. And maybe even sand, because for me, any off-roading that I might do in the future is probably going to be on sand, because that's really the only area that I can go where I am without driving a long distance to do any kind of, I guess, real off-roading. And I don't know that sand is going to build up enough in that area that it would cause a problem. And that's because, you know, sand is not really that strong unless you mix it with a chemical and make concrete out of it, right? Hopefully that's not happening on the beaches. If it is, we've got a bunch of people out there standing around frozen from their feet sinking into the sand and it being concrete, right? So anyway, I'm curious what you folks would do given the same scenario. And maybe if you've gone to 18-inch wheels yourself, are you going to bother with the recall? Are you going to take your truck in and have it done? Or are you going to just be happy, I guess, that you've got 18s on the truck now and not really even concerned about it? Or at least, I guess, consult with your service department to see if it's really an issue for you if you've gone ahead and changed out to 18-inch wheels. Anyway, that's the big conundrum, the big decision I have to make once this recall happens. And by the way, I have heard from a few different sources that recall is supposed to happen second quarter 2025. So should be coming up. We're almost into the second quarter. I mean, March is right around the corner. Might even be in March by the time you see this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.